Let me push on that a little bit. So, we've seen big growth there. We've seen sort of the Apollos, the Blackstones getting into private credit. We've seen the business development companies serving the mid-market. Two things. One is when you look at those institutions, they are much more equity funded, so have more long-term capital backing them. So in some sense, we don't see that arbitrage, I think, that you were talking about, right?
No,
they have much more equity-based funding.
No, they don't. Some do and some don't. So the insurance companies don't. A private credit fund does. They might be leveraged, 2 to 1 or something like that. But what you guys don't see is there are multiple layers of leverage in there too. They borrow against those loans. They have subscription lines over here. They pre-fund some of these other investments. Literally, you don't all see all that stuff that takes place. But yeah, in some cases they're safer. Like an insurance company, in fact, does have, if you're an annuity company, you may have longer dated liabilities and you have better liability matching than a bank might have. But you have to ask, and that's fine. So some of them are, and they're quite good at what they do, so I'm not criticizing that. But is that what you wanted? 80% of the mortgage business outside. And I'll tell you another consequence, which I'd love you guys to study. Who looks at public capital markets here? Is there a professor who does public capital markets? We've gone from 8,000 public companies in the early 90s to 4,000 today. The 8,000 should have gone to 16,000. Okay, private equity's gone from 1,000 to 10,000. And I'm not, again, this is not a statement about against private equity. The question is that a good thing? Is a public market transparency good? Is having mark-to-market capital good? And why did people leave? And if you analyze why people left, it was litigation, regulation, the compensation schemes, boards have to cross T's and dot I's, it's the SEC, it's frivolous shareholder meetings, it's NGOs trying to get your company to do all these various things. People leave. I would leave the public markets if I could. But is that what you want? I think it's a bad idea for America. And so I think people should answer those questions before they say, I'm just going to impose more things on them. Because remember, these public markets are very transparent, and we have the best financial system in the world, including private credit and private equity. But I would go back to the thing, if you're going to regulate certain things, regulate the product the same. I would be more in that mode, and including inside insurance companies. So you have the market competing, but it's not arbitrage.
It's a great question you raise around the size of private equity and private debt and sort of the growth in that industry, and a good question to come back to. I want to turn to another set of regulations about consumer protection. We had Rohit Chopra here last week. He's former head of the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. I guess it's fair to say you aren't exactly buddies. But can you talk a little bit about, do we need a regulator who's watching out for, those consumers who are less financially sophisticated to prevent, charging excessive or hidden fees to consumers and so forth?
Yeah, of course.
What's your view on that?
Of course you need proper consumer protection. And again, it goes back to how you design it. So, and then someone made a statement recently, well, if they don't have it there, the banks would have consumer. We have consumer protection in the OCC. We have consumer protection in the Fed. When they did the CFPB, it was supposed to go to one place. It stayed in all three. We also get it effectively from the SEC. We get it from a whole bunch of other people, sometimes from the DOJ. Of course you want proper consumer protection. And I have no problem with Rohit. I think he's very smart. I think he's arrogant. I think that he's one of those guys, I told him, which is a major intellectual flaw, is when you use your brain to justify what you already think. And that's what he does. He came with a mission, and some of the stuff he knew wasn't exactly right, but it was kind of like, that'll show them, when he didn't mind unlike some other people, didn't mind being sued. Not everything he did was bad. I'm not against it, but there should be very thoughtful stuff about what is you're trying to accomplish again, and so some of his stuff was misguided, but I actually respected him for his intellect.
If you like the video, do like, comment, share and subscribe.